Hello and welcome back to my channel. I have my headband on so I can apply a sunscreen and see how it goes. I think I maybe have applied this sunscreen once, but I haven't really used it. This is the Neutrogena Sensitive Skin Mineral Sunscreen Broad Spectrum SPF 60+. This has titanium dioxide and zinc oxide in it. It doesn't really make any claims about being sheer. It is supposed to be for sensitive skin, which honestly is probably better with a mineral sunscreen because I feel like those are the ones where I see the most somewhat ridiculous claims. I do have my 1/4 teaspoon. So for your face, you are supposed to use a 1/4 teaspoon of sunscreen is the general recommendation. Got a little bit too much, so that's about a 1/4 teaspoon. You're recommended to put another 1/4 teaspoon on your neck and ears. You don't want to forget those areas, and also around your eyes. The amount of sunscreen you're supposed to use to get the SPF on the bottle, I believe, is 2 milligrams per centimeter squared. I feel like I should look that up so that I make sure that I'm actually saying the correct amount, but that's what I think it is. So with a non-tinted mineral sunscreen, generally I expect there to be some type of white cast, I suppose. Since I do have a fair skin tone, I guess it is more likely that I can have it blend into my skin. Okay, I got it all out of there. This is the extra that I wiped off at the beginning. And honestly, I might have a smaller face than the 1/4 teaspoon. Like, recommendation is technically 4. But for the purposes of video, I wanted to show you what a 1/4 teaspoon looks like, since that is the recommended amount of sunscreen to use. And I'm just gonna rub this in for a little while, and then I'll probably let it sit for a little bit to see if it does sink in at all. It is like a nice lotiony texture. It has maybe a little bit of a sunscreen scent, but it's not like hard to rub around or anything like that. I don't feel it starting to pill. Okay, so that's the sunscreen on my face. I can definitely tell that some is on my hands, so that's something to keep in mind when you're applying sunscreen is, you know, you want to get enough on your face. If you're applying it with your hands, like you probably are, some is likely going to be on your hands, so that's part of the thing that you want to keep in mind when you're thinking about how much you're applying. So again, like I said, a 1/4 teaspoon might be a little bit much for me. I don't know. It's hard to know exactly how big my face is, but I do really enjoy Lab Muffin Beauty Science, I think is her channel, and she's actually like measured her face, and I think she found that she needs less than a 1/4 teaspoon by quite a fair amount. So if you do have a smaller face or like a similar face size to that, I think that it's reasonable to assume that the amount that ends up on your hands from rubbing it in may kind of cover for the amount that you don't need on your face. But regardless, it's always probably better to lean towards a little bit more than a little bit less. But she's also talked about that as well. Obviously, the best sunscreen is one that you'll wear, and applying too much can potentially cause a problem as well, just because, you know, you're wasting money at some point by applying too much sunscreen, and you're losing some of that cosmetic elegance of it sitting on your skin. So that may make you more, or may make you less likely to use it. And I know she did a whole video talking about like why you shouldn't apply too much sunscreen either, and I can't off the top of my head think about the other things that she discussed. I don't know if it's potentially more likely for it to like transfer off your face if you have too much on your face. But Here's the extra amount that I didn't apply to my face because I overfilled the teaspoon. So it's definitely like a nice texture. I think if I could rub it in with like a little bit less rubbing in, it would keep a little bit of a nicer texture, because it almost gets a little bit more, it almost loses some of its elegance as you rub it in. I can't describe exactly how. So there is my two hands for comparisons. You can kind of see the white cast on my hand. There definitely is a little bit there for me. It's kind of like a pinkish tint that I think is there on my skin. So straight off the bat, I don't know if this is a nano zinc oxide or not in it, but the white cast doesn't look that bad for an SPF 60 plus mineral only sunscreen. Obviously, like, this isn't a good, like, it's not good to have white cast, but it's not the worst that I've seen. I'm going to let it sink in for a little bit. I'm gonna go check the mirror and see if I have any like streaks that I need to blend a little bit better. And then I will come back and see what it looks like in about like 10-15 minutes to see if there's any fading of the white cast in that amount of time. Okay, so I have given this about 15 minutes to kind of do its thing, see if the white cast did dissipate at all, and I went and got a mirror. So this definitely does still have a white cast. I think the areas that are the worst, I mean, my hairline, so, you know, maybe more caution when you're blending there. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a general layer of a light white cast on the skin. So I did look this up on Neutrogena's website. It does say it's an oil-free sunscreen lotion for sensitive skin, goes on evenly, absorbs quickly, and feels ultra light. It does feel pretty light. Like, I don't feel a noticeable difference on my skin. It does still feel just a slight bit tacky, but I'm not seeing it transfer to my fingers really when I touch my face and then look at my fingers. So it might dry down a little bit more too, but that's about where it's at right now. This is not marketed as a facial sunscreen on their website, but it doesn't say like applied to the body or versus the face either. So do with that what you will. It does say water resistant for 80 minutes, PA/BA free. I'm not sure what that is, if that's parabens of some type maybe. Hypoallergenic, which I don't know what that means in a sunscreen, oil-free, fragrance-free, free of dyes, oils, and irritating chemical ingredients. But I mean, what are irritating chemical ingredients? Because like, there's plenty of things. I mean, everything is a chemical. I guess maybe they mean it doesn't have chemical sunscreen ingredients. Not really sure what exactly they mean by that. And they are selling it for $11.50 for 3 ounces via the Neutrogena website. Honestly, I do think that this is better. I've been trying out these Cetaphil sunscreens, their mineral sunscreens that I think are maybe newer to them. And this one is not bad so far. I'll definitely keep testing it and put maybe a pinned comment with how it is with more extended use, or maybe there will just be a more in this video after I finish talking right now of me coming back and checking in on another day. But I feel like I could see this working for people if you don't mind having some of that white cast and like covering it up with makeup or maybe a tinted sunscreen, which definitely is an option. I do think that the white cast on this is not the worst one that I've had, and it doesn't feel drying or like irritating in any way. It doesn't feel too heavy, anything like that. So I feel like this could potentially work for people if you want to put in the work for a mineral sunscreen. It doesn't specifically say that it's non-nano zinc, but I don't think there's any requirement to say either way, so I'm not sure on that. What I do like about it is that it isn't a very matte finish. I wouldn't say it's super dewy or hydrating either. It's just kind of natural, maybe leaning a little bit more hydrating, but it just overall feels fine on my skin. It doesn't feel bad in any way. So I'll definitely keep testing this and let you know what I think after some more time. But so far, it's not the worst. Not the best. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be doing more of these drugstore sunscreen videos. So if you have any sunscreens you'd like to see applied or hear more about, any pros and cons, definitely let me know in the comments, or you can check out my other videos that I've already done reviewing skincare products like sunscreens. If that's interesting to you. I do also do empties videos where I'll tend to give reviews of a lot of products that I've actually used up completely, or if I have used up a product partially and I just can't get it to work for me and I'm getting rid of it. So if you like to see reviews of things like that, you can go ahead and check those videos out as well. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye. So I have tried the sunscreen a little bit more, and I'll go ahead and apply some on my hand and talk about a little bit more information. So when I first apply this sunscreen, it can feel a little bit heavy on the skin, almost like it's suffocating my skin a little. I get a little bit hot just from the feeling on my face. Like, it doesn't feel hot. Just when I apply it, it does feel heavy. But after a little bit of time, you know, 15, 20 minutes, it feels pretty normal. I don't really notice it on my skin. The sunscreen throughout the day when I'm wearing it doesn't feel super heavy or anything. It just feels neutral, and it does kind of have a neutral finish as well. It looks a little bit shiny here, but that pretty much dissipates, and it has a neutral finish as I wear it during the day. It does, however, have that white cast. I find that if I don't do a good job blending it in, it will be a little bit streaky, so you do want to make sure that you're, you know, checking how well you applied it and everything like that. So you don't get a white cast that's as bad. I think it looks much better if your white cast is smooth versus streaky. But overall, you know, this applies over itself fine. I don't have any pilling issues. It's, you know, not the worst high SPF mineral sunscreen that I've tried, just because it does have that neutral finish and the white cast isn't extremely pronounced, and it feels fairly neutral on the skin, not too heavy, not too dewy or greasy or matte. Everything is just pretty neutral with it. So overall, I think this is fine. I will say it's not very sweat resistant. I don't know if that's different from water resistance, but if I sweat, it will become more white and run with the sweat to an extent on my skin. But overall, I didn't have any issues with using this, and I'll continue doing so and update you if there are any changes. I plan to do a roundup video of drugstore sunscreens at some point, so I'll talk further about it then.